After staring at the Majora-shaped blot, I looked up and the old man was suddenly there again, arm's length in front of me, smiling at me. I'll admit I jumped out of reflex. I laughed nervously as he handed me a Nintendo 64 cartridge. It was the standard grey colour, except that someone had written Majora's Mask on it in black permanent marker. I got butterflies in my stomach as I realised what a coincidence this was, and I asked him how much he wanted for it. The old man smiled at me and told me that I could have it for free. That it used to belong to a kid who was about my age that didn't live here anymore. There was something weird about how that man phrased that, but I didn't really pay attention to it then. I was too caught up in not only finding this game, but getting it for free. I reminded myself to be a bit skeptical, since this looked like a pretty shady cartridge, and there was no guarantee it would work. But then the optimist inside of me interjected that maybe it was some kind of beta version or pirated version of the game, and that was all I needed to be back on Cloud 9. I thanked the man, and the man smiled at me, wished me well, saying,
"Goodbye then."
At least that's what I thought it sounded like to me. All the way in the car ride home, I had a nagging doubt that the man had said something else. My fears were confirmed when I booted up the game. To my surprise, it worked just fine. And there was one save file simply named Ben.
"Goodbye, Ben."
He was saying.
"Goodbye, Ben."
I felt bad for the man. Obviously a grandparent and obviously going senile. And I, for some reason or another, reminded him of his grandson Ben. Out of curiosity, I looked at the saved file, eyeballing it. I could tell he was pretty far in the game. He had almost all of the masks and 3/4 remains of the bosses. I noticed that he had used an owl statue to save his game. He was on day 3 and by the Stone Tower Temple, with hardly an hour left before the moon would crash. I remember thinking that it was a shame that he'd come so close to beating the game, but he just never finished it. I made a new file named Link, out of suggestion, and I started the game, ready to relive my childhood. For such a shady-looking game cartridge, I was impressed at how smoothly it ran. Literally just a retail copy of the game, except for a few minor hiccups here and there, like textures being where they shouldn't be, random flashes of cutscenes and odd intervals, but nothing too bad. However, the only thing that was a little unnerving was that at times the NPCs would call me Link, and at other times they would call me Ben. I figured it was just a bug, a fluke in the programming causing our files to get mixed up or something. It did kind of creep me out though after a while, and it was around after I had beaten the Woodfall Temple that I regrettably went into the saves file and deleted Ben. I had intended to preserve the file just out of respect of the game's original owner. It's not like I needed the 2 files anyway. I did that hoping that I would solve the problem. It did, and it didn't. Now NPCs wouldn't call me anything. Where my name should be in the dialogue, there was just a blank space. My save file name was still called Link though. Frustrated, and with homework to do, I put the game down for a day.